Ladies and gentlemen, I literally am exhausted. This fire is looks like it's gonna continue, and I have to be on the watch for the next couple of days because it is literally still at the door, and they've only got 5% containment. It's been a rough day, but that doesn't stop me. Have any of you ever been sentenced to probation after you were released from prison? You know anybody who was ever sentenced to probation or is on probation as a result of a sentence after they served jail time? Well, guess what? In 1997, no, 1998, I was doing my own research. Nobody helped me with this. Well, Jehovah, of course. And I found the 1984 Sentencing Commission that stated that probation was a sentence. Now, they got that from the Sentence Reform Act of 1984. I want you all to pay attention to what I did with DeepSeek because ChatGPT was really giving me a hard time. So I went into DeepSeek. DeepSeek said, hey, you want me to give you the congressional record and the little excerpt from that? And I said, you know what? Yeah, you go right on ahead, Deep. You know, because you deep like that. And DeepSeek like, man, you ain't said nothing but a word. And I'm like, man, pancakes and collard greens. And it said, man, come on now. And I'm like, you know. And so that's where we at. Okay, so pay attention. What does 18 USC 3561A3 say? A defendant who has been found guilty of an offense may be sentenced to a term of probation, pay attention, unless the defendant is sentenced at the same time to a term of imprisonment for the same offense. Now, it says that. Those are the exact words. Go read it. 18 USC 3561A3. Okay, now hold on now. What does this mean? Well, the text must be read as written. Is probation a separate sentence? The law does not specify unless quoting statute. So you have to quote the statute because it says may be sentenced to a term of probation unless they are already sentenced to the same time of imprisonment. In other words, for the same offense to a term of imprisonment. So pay attention. But what does the courts usually do? Invalid response, statute only. He can't give me that response. I don't care what the court normally does. Oh, this is chat GPT. See, chat GPT has to say invalid response, statute only. That's what he responded to me at because that's the strict compliance. So here is where he did all of that, and then he says, hey, no, that's not the statute at large, that's U.S. Code. So he gave me the U.S. Code. Well, the statute at large is Section 212A1, sentencing probation. In general, a defendant who has been found guilty of an offense may be sentenced to a term of probation unless, pay attention, that's the word, unless. How can you unless something? It's already less. How can you unless it? Told you this English language is stupid. The defendant is sentenced at the same time to a term of imprisonment for the same or different offense that is not a petty offense. And it gives that part. We don't care about the latter part. We care about this. Statute at large, original enacted law, word for word. U.S. Code, not recognized. So let's go here, because this is where he asked me, do you want me? And I'll be like, no, I don't want you, mother. And he'd be like, oh, come on now. He says, get back up here. What you doing running from me? Okay, notice what he says. Would you like for the original House bill and Senate bill language or the floor debate records? I said yes, and he gave them all to me. So pay attention to what they originally said. This is on the floor. Public Law 98 473. It says this, and we don't care about no stupid public law. But anyway, probation provisions appear at Section 212A, and the enactment text matches the U.S. Code version nearly verbatim. See, nearly. The code is not the same because it was a new statute, not an amendment. To conform congressional's original intent, these are the authoritative sources. Accompanying House Resolution 6013, the original bill explicitly states probation is to be a standalone sentence. Confirms that unless clause was intended as an absolute bar to probation. If they were sentenced to jail time, they could not be sentenced at the same time with the same sentence for the same charge to probation. It's illegal. Emphasize probation and imprisonment are mutually exclusive under the House bill and under this section of the so-called code and the statute at large. Notes that the provision prevents stacking probation atop of prison terms. Exactly the practice they have now. Probation is a separate sentencing option. This is what they originally intended. So what the is the courts doing? Lord have mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this. Now we just gonna take this part right here. We do probation as a sentence. Okay? Now we just gonna take this part right here. Right here. Copy. And we gotta go to Poe. Because I don't want to be Poe no more. Wait, we're gonna do this first. I gotta put this here. Because we gotta update the system. Wake up, update the system. I don't want to hear nothing else. Stop listening. He would have explained a whole bunch of junk that nobody cared about. I don't want to hear it because he's been arguing with me back and forth about that issue. He's been telling me what the courts have done and what the courts have interpreted. I don't give a. Oh, this is the clerk's registry, the court registry system. We're going to update this and then we're going to go to Poe. I could have just went to Poe, but I needed to update that. Okay. Come on now. Hurry up. We ain't got all day. Wait a minute. I know I hit that. Lord have mercy. You see, it didn't even want to do nothing. It just don't want to do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't be updated. Now, come on now. Hurry up now. Uh-oh. Look at that. Look at that. Error, Will Robinson. They don't want to update that information. Why? Because they don't want you guys knowing that the courts have been illegally sentencing people to probation and jail time at the same time. It's illegal. There is no delegation of authority for such a sentence. Although they claim they're following the sentencing guidelines, no, they are not. They are lying. They are using a presumption, and you guys are not catching it. Look, the court registry system, look at that. It won't do that. It won't save it. It literally won't save it. Oh, okay, there it is, finally. It has happened to me right in front of my face, and I just cannot hide it. Okay, sorry about that. Hold on. We got to get Poe. Look, here's verbatim excerpts, okay? And then it says, the defendant who has been convicted for the first time in a domestic violence case, we don't care about that. Now, right here, accompanying HR says probation is a separate sentence. The bill makes it clear that probation is a sentence in and of itself, not a suspension of imprisonment. The intent is to ensure the courts view probation as a distinct and independent punishment option. Ta-da! That's what we do, y'all. That's what we do. Now watch this. Yes'em, Y-E-S-M. Oh, no. I'm going to give y'all all of this, all up in the nooks and crannies. But I'm going to give y'all DeepSeek. Oh, no. DeepSeek, I forgot. DeepSeek doesn't give us where you can continue the conversation. I apologize. I can't give you DeepSeek. I apologize. So we're going to copy this. And we're going to come over to the chat GPT. All right. We right up in here. Now we need to go to the court registry. There we go. Chris system. Ooh-wee. And we just going to type that right there. Wake up. So on a continually, daily, yearly, monthly, weekly basis, courts around the United States violate the intent of Congress, the law, and the rights of individuals by sentencing them to both prison time and probation for the same offense, in fact, a rule 60, lowercase b, numeral 4, should be filed immediately in each of these cases. Is this not correct? What about adding a b, numeral 5, and numeral 6? Question mark. New paragraph. Stop listening. Of course, he's going to quote everything. Wake up. Who told you to use public law? Comma, did I give you permission to use public law? Stop listening. Says you and you alone, as sovereign and commanding authority, have directed and authorized the use only of those right there. Conclusions? Okay. So public law, not supposed to be used. Wake up. Now answer my original question. New paragraph. Stop listening. It is correct. The courts violate the law and congressional intent by sentencing individuals to both imprisonment and probation at the same time. And should a Rule 60B4 motion be filed in such cases? What about adding a B5 and 6? A defendant who has been found guilty, blah, blah, blah. Probation and imprisonment are mutually exclusive because that's the congressional intent. Federal rules of civil procedure, a motion and just terms, the court may relieve a party of its legal representative of a final judgment. That's stupid. Order or proceeding, the judgment is void. Okay, the court, if the court imposes both imprisonment and probation for the same offense, ladies and gentlemen, this happens to people all the time. That's why I reject probation. I've been doing it ever since I found out about this. I just need the order. Okay? So, what I'm going to suggest you guys do is start preparing your Rule 60B petitions. Okay, may be added if facts meet these grounds. Wake up. Go ahead and produce a Rule 60, lowercase b, numeral 4, petition on these unlawful, non-delegated authority sentence, which evidences the courts have operated and proceeded in clear absence of all jurisdiction in violating the rights of American civilians on a yearly, weekly, monthly, daily basis, which means each of these sentences must be vacated. So let's do a writ of mandamus before the Supreme Court of the United States, which would only cost $300 to file, as opposed to the standard lawsuit, demanding that the Supreme Court order these lower courts who are under its jurisdiction to follow the law as written, and since this affects so many Americans, over 2 million of them incarcerated to the very day, the court cannot ignore the wide range and effect of such a decision, as it impedes the access to redress in violation of the First Amendment prohibition against abridging the rights of the people to their freedom, whether it be speech, religion, press, or to be secure in their persons, or to be not subject to excessive fines and penalties, probation and a sentence for the same crime amounts to a violation of the double jeopardy clause of the Constitution, which means that they have violated the Bill of Rights. Exclamation mark. New paragraph. Stop listening. I am tired, so I can't give you guys more than this. You'll get the link with the video, and you'll have to take it from there. I did the best I could with giving you as much as you could. Why? Because I think, well, you go ahead, y'all do y'all examination and see if anybody's done better than what this is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Y'all know I done said it before. Oh, no, no, no. Wake up. You stupid idiot. That's not a writ of mandamus, comma. That's not a writ of mandamus, comma. A writ of mandamus is an actual petition, comma. What is that junk you just gave me? Stop listening. Give me a second. No, because he already did prayer of relief. He he's stupid. Give me a second. Let me show y'all. I just gonna bring it over here. This is because it don't let you save. It don't let you share. So I wish it did, but it's deep seek. They not there yet. Okay, they missing. So he gives the same provisions because I gave him the whole conversation. So what he gonna do is he's gonna go through the motions, so to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wish y'all could see how the winds kicked this stupid fire up this afternoon and was blowing it this way, and then it changed directions. Woo-wee! You have no idea. Now watch this. He gave y'all this right here. Y'all gonna get all of that, all up in the nooks and crannies. Wake up. No, I need a very detailed writ of mandamus explaining exactly what the congressional intent was and how the courts are supposed to know better. Comment that every time the courts have sentenced someone for the same offense to both incarceration time and probation, they are students of law and knew that they were violating the law because they're required to follow the law to the letter. Period. The Supreme Court has made it quite clear that they must follow the act of Congress as written, not as they believe or deem fit. Comma, they have made it clear that they have stated that repeatedly. Stop listening. Let's see if we can get my writ written up. Well, look at there. He done sat up there and then came up with a writ. Now, look, putting on the writs, I would give you guys the writ. Give me 1 second. Not that one. Writ of mandamus. I would give you guys the writ, but y'all ain't getting that writ. You know what I mean? So y'all just gonna have to do the best y'all can, but what I'm giving y'all. Cause look what he doing. Ooh, he cannot claim ignorance. Sentencing Reform Act cannot claim ignorance, and despite this, thousands of defendants have been unlawfully sentenced to both imprisonment and probation in direct defiance of congressional command and intent. They didn't follow the law. They have to follow the law as written. They didn't follow the law. So watch this. TikTok. Got to go up. I don't need that right there. That's what I put in there. So ChatGPT already have that because that's where I got it from. Okay, so we copy, and now we go back to ChatGPT so that you guys will get the whole conversation. That's why I did this. I went to DeepSeek, so we got that. Oh, look at that. He got jealous. Look at how much more he's adding. Look at that. He just diarrhea at the mouth. He just doing what he do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you. I know quite a few of you have this, and I've lately spoke to quite a few people who are going through, including one person who is incarcerated as we speak. And he contacted me, paid for a consult, and contacted me. And this is because of that conversation. Like I said, I've known this since 1997. Okay? But since 2000, the courts have been effectively and actively blocking my access. So it's now, like I said, this is the year of the act right. It's now time to get their attention. How about y'all get their attention with me, huh? It doesn't make no sense me doing this by myself. So I gave you all the facts. They're all right here. Give me a second. We got to go here to make sure y'all get it. We're gonna go here to this thing right here. It says you ain't getting in here, and I'm be like, yeah, I am gonna get in there because I already got things saved. It says, look, you ain't got it saved like that. I said, you better believe I got it saved. No, you better open that door. How dare you sit up there and try to lock me out of my own house? So it says, you want to do a tiny URL? I'm like, you better believe I want to do a tiny URL. Oh, by the way, I did the song the other day in Espanol, and that wasn't a song about money or finances or any of the illegal stuff. That was just my song, little song. I want to do putting on my I'm putting my boots on. That's gonna be the next one I'm gonna translate into Spanish. So y'all just be prepared for that one, because I'm putting my boots on, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to tell the codes. Y'all want to around and find out? Well, I'm putting my boots on. All right, because we're gonna start stumping some heads into the ground. Figuratively, but we still gonna be stumping. Stump the yard. All right. Uh-oh. I can't do this. I got to end the video before I can save the video. So, got to go. Take care of yourselves. All right. Goodbye.